Good day, everyone. I am Joyce Sola Lagamayo, BEd 201. Together with Rosan Habitan, Julie Angrutas, and Mr. Jumari Guanizo, we are the discussants of the assigned topic that Mrs. Trinidad Guhar assigned to us entitled Traditional and Authentic Assessments in Social Studies. So before we proceed our discussion, let me show to you these pictures first. What is your observation about these pictures? Are you familiar with this? And do you know what kind of assessment are these? So, as a students, we observe different assessment techniques that our teachers done or give to us. And as a future teachers, we need to practice of choosing our own assessment and helps to us to evaluate our future students. Ano nga ba ang assessment? So, based on the information I've got, assessment is a key component of learning because it helps students learn. Through this assessment, teachers are able to see the result if their students are really understand the given course material they've taught or not. There are two types of assessment in social studies. These are traditional assessment and authentic assessment. And this said assessments, dito iikot ang lesson natin ngayon. And we are going to distinguish the different types of traditional and authentic assessment in social studies. And we need to know and understand the better and appropriate assessment to use in our classroom environment. Now, let's focus on traditional assessment. So, as a students, we are already familiar about paper and pencil test. And this is an example of traditional assessment, which is used to determine the students' learning outcomes. Traditional assessment refers to the tools such as multiple choice test, true or false, fill in the blanks, and matching types, and so many more. These assessments are easy to grade, but only test isolated application, facts, and memorize data at lower level thinking skills. Considered as an inauthentic and indirect approach in measuring students' learning outcome. So what does it mean? So it means that indirect assessment is one that asks a student to self-report, such as asking them if they believe and they know the material. And an authentic assessment in that same course would be to ask a student to take a multiple choice test. So we already discussed the meaning and example of traditional assessment. And now let's talk about the purpose of traditional assessment. There are three purpose of traditional assessment. Number one is evaluate learners. Number two is rank learners. And number three is feedback of evaluation results. One is evaluate learners. Traditional assessment evaluates learning and retaining capacity of a child. It analyzes how much of the provided material or syllabus has been acquired by the students. It also helps educators or teachers to compare the performances of different students. It is easy to score. Through this assessment, teachers can evaluate students or learners more quickly and easy. Number two is rank learners. Traditional assessment can also rank learners. And because of the assessment papers of the students that the teacher collect, the teachers can rank students and so have a high and low understanding about the subject they teach. Traditional assessment can gain information that is not required more preparations unlike to authentic assessment. Another purpose of traditional assessment is the feedback of evaluation results. So after the teacher in evaluation process, she or he need to report the result of evaluation that's seen in report card of the students, and the teacher will show or present the said report card to those parents of students during the parent-teacher conference, and we already familiar with that, right? Next is the strengths of traditional assessment. Number one is reliability, validity, and easy to administer and check. This is the main highlight of traditional assessment, and the teacher creates different types of tests to his or her students that is required and based on what curriculum guide dictate. The ability of assessment tool is the extent to which it measures learning consistently. Number two is validity. So traditional assessment becomes valid only when it answers the following question. What is to be measured and how consistently it is measured? An assessment is valid when it measures the content was taught, and when it reflects the content and skills you emphasize when teaching the course. Three is easy to administer and check. So we can notice that during our test, paper and pencil test, that one is an example of traditional assessment, is easily administer and check. Sometimes teachers choose his or her students to check their test papers or examination papers by exchanging their papers, and we already familiar with that. Traditional assessment doesn't require more time and effort just to check the grades of the students, because it focuses only on a specific learning outcomes. Less time, easier to prepare, and easy to administer. Next is the limitations of traditional assessment. And there are two limitations of traditional assessment. Number one is individualist, and number two is competition. One, individualist. Traditional assessment is designed to measure learning on an individual basis. Students define their difficulties during or especially during examination periods or weekly quizzes, because it is an individual task that the student or that the students should do. So students will study their lesson just for them to answer the assessment that the teacher give to them. But now, as we can see, our generation is more on collaborating activities because we adopt the 21st century skills. Is competition. So even we adopt the 21st century skills, which is to aim and promote the collaboration among learners, still traditional assessment is limited only to individual learners which develop the competition among learners. I hope that you gain some informations and you understand my discussion, and the next discussants will discuss to you about the authentic assessment in social studies and which assessment is better. And so I just want you to hear and understand about our discussions, because after that we will have an activity. So, it's time to have an activity. So here's an activity for you to answer, guys. Good luck!